This time I call the February meeting of the County Commission to order. We're glad to have with us the pastor of the Anthony's Chapel and Midway United Methodist Church with us. He has a very, very, very tough job in his role as pastor of Midway. He's the pastor of Commissioner Henderson. And Commissioner Henderson wanted his preacher to come give our invocations. So Reverend Bowen, we appreciate you being with us, and if you would walk to the podium.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, brothers and sisters. Good to see y'all tonight. That's a group of handsome men sitting across there. Amen. Thank y'all for having me tonight. You know, the Bible refers to several times that we as God's people, we're going to have meetings. It might be at church, it might be a business meeting or a government meeting. But the scripture I've chosen for us tonight comes from the book of Hebrews, chapter 10, verses 23 through 25. And y'all hear the word of the Lord. Let us hold tightly, without wavering, to the hope that we affirm. For God is faithful to keep His promise. Let us think of ways, this is for all of us, let us think of ways to motivate one another to acts of love and good works. And let us not neglect meeting together, as some people do, but let us encourage one another, especially now that the day of His return is drawing near. Endurance is what we need, so that when we have done the will of God, we will receive all that He has promised. My friends, this is the Word of God for the people of God, and we say, thanks be to God. Let us pray. Most gracious God, we come to you this evening asking for your presence here with us, asking for your guidance, your wisdom, and your support as we begin this meeting. Lord, we meet together in order to serve Lincolnton. We meet so that we can use our resources wisely and well to represent the members of this community fairly and to make decisions that promote the common good. Lord, we pray that you will bless all the efforts made here tonight. Bless these efforts with insight and impartiality. Lord, allow us to grow closer as a group. Let us work together to strengthen the bonds of this community. Lord, help us to accomplish our goals tonight. And we ask all these things to your glory in the name of Jesus. And all of God's servants together said, Amen. Amen. Amen, y'all.
We have the Pledge of Allegiance to the flag, Commissioner Clyde.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Reverend Bowen, I see you're a Methodist preacher. I believe you could be a Congregational Holiness preacher. On behalf of the board, we appreciate you taking time out to come and do this.
As much as I would love to stay for your meeting and that agenda that's pretty lengthy, bless y'all tonight. The Lord has blessed this meeting, and we've proclaimed His word, and y'all have a wonderful meeting. Thank you again for having me. I've got some home visits I've lined up with the members of our community. Amen.
Amen. Thank you.
Love y'all.
Thank you.
Item 4 is approval of the minutes. Is there a motion that we approve the minutes of the previous meetings as mailed to you?
Mr. Chairman, I so move.
Second.
I'll second, Mr. Chairman.
Have a motion by Commissioner Clyde, second by Commissioner Collins. Any discussion on the motion? Chair is none. All in favor of the motion, let it be known by saying aye. Aye. All opposed, like sign. Motion's carried. Next item is the approval of the agenda. From time to time, I have to do this. I'm going to ask for unanimous consent. If I don't hear anybody that opposes, I would like to add Director John Stone, give him a few minutes or as long as he needs to address the commission. He's, I think, got some few good things he needs to tell. Director Stone, if you'd go to the podium, I want you to tell us what your news for the last couple of weeks. Well, this way you can go on the internet and everybody can hear you.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I wasn't expecting to speak tonight, but it's always a delight to. Thank you for all the commissioners for allowing me to speak. We've had some good news on the job front in Lincoln over the last really 3 weeks now, with first Apex Marine of St. Louis, Michigan, purchasing both the Soap Creek Marina and Lodge and the former Top Grill factory. They'll plan to start manufacturing operations there within the year, and we look for up to 40 jobs in that location over the next 3 years. Then last week we closed with SGE LLC out of, is this too loud or?
That's about heat down a little bit.
Down a little bit. We closed with SGE on the former Gymtex plant, and that will bring us between 50 and 75 jobs within this next year, and they will start the hiring process within the next 2 to 3 weeks. So that'll be immediate. And they anticipate in the next 5 years 250 jobs, which is quadruple the number of jobs we had in that plant before. And I think for the first time in a good many years, we've got all of our manufacturing facilities in Lincoln back in operation again. So I think that's a big benefit for the county, and we've got more coming down the road too, but I can't discuss those yet or another county will try to steal it from us. So I just wanted to fill you all in on that, and if you have any questions, I'm happy to answer them.
Well, you know, it looks like good things over the next 4 or 5 years. We've got the potential now of having another 300 maybe jobs coming to the county, which if AGE, is that it?
SGE.
SGE.
Yeah. South Georgia Equipment, I told them they need to change their name to North Georgia Equipment, or better yet, Red Devil Equipment, but they wouldn't have it. So.
Well, that would be good. You know, if they go to 250 jobs, that will probably be the largest plant we've ever had. I don't think Mayfair ever employed 250. So we just hope and pray it gets up to that. It's not in the textile industry, it's in the ag.
It's in the ag industry.
Assembling and manufacturing, so it would be some good jobs too.
And I want to say importantly too, these are jobs that can compete at the global level, which is one of the problems we've had here before with the trade deals that Congress passes. It basically put us out of business on textiles. The South Georgia equipment manufacturer, they manufacture equipment that they will export to South America, Canada, and Europe. And as part of the new, more competitive trade arrangements that we have now under the new administration and the new trade rules, the boat manufacturer, Apex, in addition to manufacturing Apex pontoon boats, they will be importing a new line of outboards to the United States called Sea Power, which Lincoln will be the national distribution center for that new line of outboards. So again, the international trade, we're starting to win a little bit, which is very helpful for us.
Well, on behalf of this board, we commend you and the Development Authority on the work that y'all have done, and just keep it going. It takes a long time when you plant a seed to reach the harvest, but it looks like you've reached the harvest. I know you've been working on it for one of at least 2 years.
You remember you and I riding up to Saginaw, Michigan in January in a snowstorm.
I remember.
Nobody can accuse us of taking a vacation on county money on that.
we left and back in about 24 hours. Wasn't it?
That's right. And I want to thank all the commissioners here too, because this entire commission, every one of you, have been just as helpful as you can be on trying to put all of this together. And make it a special thanks to Sherry McKellar, who was there when we started all of this when she was still at the Development Authority. So I'm still a little mad at you about taking her, but you know, I think she's doing great up here too. But thank you all for all of your efforts in making
Thank
this
you.
possible.
Before you sit down, I want to ask you one other question.
Okay.
You can look at several of us in this room and understand this question. Can you give me a little update on Soap Creek Restaurant opening back up?
I can. They're shooting now for May, you know, and we hopefully will be a little earlier than that. But when I last talked, there's a gentleman, Ernie Campbell, who's in charge of this project for Apex Marine out of Michigan. And they're looking to do a major remodel on the restaurant to make it actually not just restore what was the old restaurant, but make it nicer and larger and seat more people. So that's going to take a little longer than simply putting a new roof on and repairing everything inside. It's gutted right now. If anyone hadn't been down to the marina in a while, it's worth taking a drive down and look at the difference, both in the property, which is now all cleared off, starting with the sign up front, all the way down to the water, and where those old cottages used to be is all cleared off and ready to go with new. But the last that I talked with earlier this week, sometime May, maybe late April, but certainly within a little bit of time, they'll have the catfish going again.
Sounds good to me.
Thank you all.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, John.
That motion, we approve the agenda as printed.
I'll make a motion, Mr. Chairman.
Second.
I'll second, Mr. Chairman.
Motion by Commissioner Wade, second by Commissioner Collins. Any discussion on the motion? Chair is none. All in favor of the motion, let me know by saying aye. Aye. All opposed, like sign. Motion's carried. Departmental reports. Item 6A, Office of Emergency Services, Director Broom.
Good evening, Mr. Chairman and Commissioners. I have a few brief comments in addition to my written report. I wanted to commend some of my folks for attaining certifications. Also, Jamie Lewis, who is our Volunteer Services Coordinator, put together an online National Professional Qualifications Firefighter Certification course, and we had 2 people finish that. David Nicholson and Courtney Davis. They're now cross-trained as paramedic firefighter and EMT firefighter. And it's also important to notice and point out that all of our firefighters in our department have completed their training for certification outside of their work hours. In other words, they've voluntarily done it. They didn't cost us man hours to send them to school. They volunteered to step up and take on additional certifications and responsibilities. And that's important, and they deserve recognition for it. And I just wanted to bring that to your attention because it wasn't in my written report. Also, I attended a meeting with Director Bryson this week with the Area 1 Emergency Management and the Emergency Management Association of Georgia. That is a quarterly meeting, but it was unique that Director Bryson was there. He briefed us on the new administration in the governor's office. And he says they've been received really well in terms of emergency management, and that the governor is very much interested in how to work with communities on the idea of emergency management. And hopefully we can, maybe see some funding sources open up again. And we're encouraged about that. February the 22nd, I'll be at the Capitol, hopefully to meet the governor, along with the emergency management directors for Emergency Management Day at the Capitol. Just wanted to brief y'all on those things because they were not in my report, and if there are any questions, I'll be glad to field those now.
Okay, any questions to Director Broom? Commissioner Wade.
Director Broom, I know we've gone over this frequently, but looking at your report, looks like you billed about $72,000. And we collected about close to $30,000. And that's about a 39%, 40% collection. This collection agency that we have, they just not very successful in collecting anything, huh?
Well, first of all, our billing has 3 tiers.
Okay.
We do the front work. The report's completed in the field. It is then administratively reviewed by Chief of Staff and Clerk, Ms. Wanda, and then it is sent to the third-party biller, Emergency Billing. Emergency Billing works that account for 120 days. If that account is not paid or reconciled in 120 days, then it is sent to the collection agency. That collection agency has not been very successful. But we are not charged
Right.
for their service. They take a small percentage, and I don't remember it off the top of my head, of the money that they collect. So them not collecting this money that's gone to collections is only hurting them. With us, it's going to be a bad debt write-off. In effect, it already was once it goes out the door to a collection agency. Anything that we collect on those accounts is better than nothing. And it has been $0 some months. I've seen it as low as $30, but it's not costing us money.
Okay.
other than the loss of revenue for the service provided.
Yeah, they're losing just a small percentage, but we're losing 60%.
Well, yeah, and there's a lot that goes into that, and I've got very lengthy reports that if you'd like to meet with me and the chairman, or however the chairman would like to do it, I'll go over those reports and show you how the write-offs and set-offs occur, and a 40% collection rate. We've bounced between 40 and 50. 50 was the highest at one point, and it goes up and down depending on what's done at the federal level with Medicare and the state level with Medicare and Medicaid. And, you know, we adjusted our fees recently, so we're looking to see that upswing in collections. Now, you will see an increase in aging receivables because we're charging more for the service. That means that
Right.
we're going to have higher aging receivables because certain payers are going to pay a set amount that Medicare is going to decide how much they're going to pay. And generally, if you get 40% collection in a medical billing situation, that's a pretty good collection. It's a good collection rate.
I'd like to just get a little bit more knowledgeable about
Sure.
that, so I appreciate that.
Yes, sir.
Commissioner Wade, I think the average of collection for EMS is around 50%. I noticed this one, and I appreciate you bringing it back up, but that's about as low as I've seen one since I've been back here.
Yes, sir. And
I
I'll
don't
be
think
glad.
we've been this low lately, because I don't think we ever going to expect anything over 50%. That's the other 50% you're going to lose is what I've been told.
Mm-hmm.
But that one is historically low. Okay. Any other questions, Director Brooks? Thank you.
Yes, sir.
6B, Recreation Department, you have your report from Director Glaze. He's not here. I think basketball is going on. But you do have your written report. AC Finance, Director Arnett.
Mr. Commissioner and Chairman, y'all have my written report. If you have any questions, I'd be glad to help you.
Any questions, Director Arnett? I would like to say that it's just budget time is here, and we'll be. Would you tell me today you was what?
Drowning.
Yeah, I went up that day. She told me she was drowning. I said it's not raining, courthouse still leaking, I guess, but I guess we're gonna have to throw you a life jacket because we're gonna have to start on budgets, and I know you're still in the middle of a lot of other things. But budget time is here, and we'll be working on them, getting those ready for y'all in the next few months. But that's a pretty long process in itself. Any other questions, Director Arnett? Thank you. 6D is Public Works, Director Samoa.
Chairman, members of the board, you have my written reports. I don't have anything to add to those unless you have questions. I'll be more than happy to address those questions.
Any questions, Director Seymour, and his written reports? I would like to ask you a question.
Yes, sir.
I noticed when I read the Lincoln Journal, the headline said, "City votes to increase county's water rates." That's not exactly right. If the city votes to raise, and it was raised 2 cents per thousand, but if the city votes to raise our part of the rates, is it not true that their rate goes to the same thing, that we both pay the same rate?
That is correct. It's mutual. We pay the same rate per 1,000 gallons. The city-
So when they raised theirs from what, 92 to 90,
It was from $1.93 to $1.95 a gallon.
when they raised it from $1.93 to $1.95, both city and county water is supposed to pay that fee.
That is correct.
So it's raised on both sides.
That is correct. Yes, sir.
Okay. I just wanted to be sure we wasn't getting a raise, and
Yes, sir.
they were, you know. Okay, any other questions, Director Seymour?
I've got a comment if I could, Mr. Chairman.
Commissioner Clyde?
I've been a commissioner for 10 years, and I got the two strangest calls I've ever gotten this past week. And they both were unique situations, and I won't get into detail, but I would like to thank the chairman and Director Seymour for working with the two cases and coming to a reasonable solution. And making the taxpayer happy. So thank you for being attentive to the situation and your help. Appreciate it.
You're welcome.
And actually, got thank you all, both parties.
Those are rare.
Yes, sir.
Thank you, Commissioner Clyde. Any other questions, Director? Commissioner Wade.
Well, since you're going to brag on Director Seymour, I guess I need to also. I got a pretty hot letter here about 2 or 3 weeks ago, a fellow wanting his ditches cleaned out and his roads scraped and crush and run. He called me about a week ago and said he was the happiest guy in the world.
Oh, good.
Don't y'all brag on him too much. Budgets are coming in. He'll be wanting to raise. It is good sometimes somebody's happy, isn't it? Okay, item 7, this time we'll have to vote to go into our public hearing. Is there a motion that we go into a public hearing?
I so move, Mr. Chairman.
Second?
Second.
Motion by Commissioner Clyde, second by Commissioner Henderson. Any discussion? Chair hears none. All in favor of the motion, let me know by saying aye. Aye. All opposed, like sign. We are in a public hearing. Director Seymour.
Yes, sir. On February the 11th, 2019, the Planning Commission met and heard the following request. The applicant is Highway 79 LLC, which is mapped in parcel 19-002 on Highway 79. It consists of 201 acres, and the reason for the application is for final plat determination. As you know, when you subdivide property more than 4 times, it becomes a major subdivision in Lincoln County. However, there is an exemption rule for those lots that are more than 4 that have adequate infrastructure like roadway and they can meet the width and depth requirements, then they're exempt from the preliminary plat and infrastructure requirements of major subdivisions, which this falls in line. However, it still has to go before the Planning Commission and this board to get final plat because it's more than 4 parcels subdivided. My board looked at it. You've got a copy of the plat. It's 6 parcels. Out of this 201 acres, I think the smallest is 23 acres. The largest is about 46 acres. They're all large tracts of land. And my board heard this request and recommends approval unanimously. I did not get any calls whatsoever about this project whatsoever, for or against. So my board did recommend approval unanimously.
Okay, is any question from any of the commissioners? Is there a motion that we accept the recommendation of the Planning Commission on a special use request, map 19, parcel 002, which is up on Highway 79. It's, Commissioner Henderson, if you looked, I know, but it's almost a Tabernacle Church in your district is way
It's
up
almost
there.
at my house.
Yeah, it's just past Tabernacle Church Road on the right-hand side, all that road frontage down through there. So it's a lot of road frontage down through, and that lot's not very deep, so that's the reason they're able to do what they're doing.
Okay, is there a motion we accept the recommendation of the Planning Commission?
So moved.
Have a motion, is there a second?
Second, Mr. Chairman.
Motion by Commissioner Henderson, second by Commissioner Wade. Any discussion on the motion?
Mr. Chairman,
Commissioner Clyde.
I'm going to abstain on this vote because I have a license with the applicant. Does that make sense?
Makes sense, but I don't know if that's a reason to abstain. You don't have any financial interest in it, do you? You can't abstain. Is that correct, Mr. Lawyer?
Yes, Mr. Chairman.
Okay, you need to vote. All in favor of the motion, let me know by saying aye. Aye. All opposed, like sign, motion's carried. Item number 8, this has been a long time coming.
Mr. Chairman, you'll have to vote to come out of public hearing.
Thank you, Director Seymour. Was that motion we come out of our public hearing?
So moved, Mr. Chairman.
Second.
Second.
Motion by Commissioner Collins, second by Commissioner Clyde. Any discussion on the motion? Chair is none. All in favor of the motion, let me know by saying aye. Aye. All opposed, like sign, and we are at our public hearing, and I appreciate that help. You know, I used to not have to have that till I got in my 40s. Lincoln County Paws is here. They met with us in our work session last week, and I think they met with us back sometime last fall. And before you come up, Ms. Reese, on behalf of the board, we just want to thank y'all. I know that all of y'all work tirelessly and hard. I know Deborah does and Melissa does, and all of you. I don't want to call names, but y'all are the three here, so I'm going to call your names. You know, you send three women that pretty up here, it's kind of hard not to vote for me. But y'all have done an excellent job of what you do. I met today, in fact, had lunch with the animal director, Gail Newsom, in McDuffie County today, and we discussed a little about what she does and what they do, and I don't want us to do what she does. I think it's a great partnership between the county and L.C. Paul's that this happens. I'm going to let you get up and tell just a little of what y'all do so it will be on the record and the public will know what we're doing. Pull that microphone down where we can hear you. Speak where I can hear you.
There you go.
Turn it back up, push it back up a little bit.
Never had a problem with anybody hearing me, without anybody
Not
hearing
quite
me.
as loud as the preacher.
Well, I'm here representing L.C. Paul's, and we appreciate our county government more than we can possibly explain to y'all, because through this whole process, y'all have been on board. I mean, Walker, I've burned his ears, big holes in his ears for the last couple of years, and he's never, ever not supported us. And our ultimate goal is to have a shelter that is a humane society or a private shelter, non-kill, as non-kill as we can possibly make it. And that's where we're headed, and it'll be grant funded. And we've worked very hard to get to where we are. It's been a slow 2 years for me, and they're even longer. They've been 3. You guys are 3 years. They're a year ahead of me. But this year has been moving and shaking. So we had our, one of the things that we do is the county has, and the city, have both called us for strays, for situations where there was an eviction and an animal was left. We've participated in that. We come in and get it, we take it over, find it a home, care for it. We've done a lot of things, and we found out last Friday we've done a lot of things right. We had our Department of Ag inspection, and we passed with flying colors. They told us we were doing a fabulous job. We've got some more things we've got to do that we didn't know we had to do. But what we've done well, and I'm proud of that. I'm proud to say that when our county needs us, when our citizens need us and they call us, 9 times out of 10, sometimes we can't help, but 9 times out of 10, we're there to help. And that's our goal, is to be able to help. We don't want dogs in the road and cats breeding and causing property damage and problems and disease, and that's our function, is to get them where we can get them and make sure that they're vetted and spayed and neutered and in homes. And so, do you have any questions for me?
Well, Commissioner's welcome to ask something, but I know we spent a good bit of time with you last week in the work session, and
Yes, sir.
and we know. So, again, we all appreciate you, and I know the citizens of Lincoln County appreciate what y'all do. So what we are doing is I need a motion that we have a contract prepared by the county attorney between the County Board of Commissioners and L.C. Paul's Incorporated. With that, asking in the motion that gives me the authority to sign it and the clerk the authority to attest it. And Ms. Reese is the director of L.C. Paul's, and I think Ms. Fox is the financial officer. We'll sign the contract. You can get with Clerk McKellar and handle that. This agreement is a contract. Legally, the county we can't just give somebody money. We have to have a contract for the services that they provide to the county. So we're contracting with them to take care of our, I came up last night, I called it less fortunate animals. And we will be paying you $2,000 a quarter.
Yes, sir.
$8,000 a year. The check will be sent from finance the first month of each quarter.
Yes, sir.
And y'all know we get reports from y'all of what you're doing with it, so we get, that
That's
comes
right.
in too. But anyway, this comes from the infrastructure fund of the special purpose local option sales taxes, where this money will be coming from to pay this, and that is a part of the infrastructure fund that was passed when the voters passed the previous splosh money. So that's what will happen. I hope that clarifies it for y'all and the people that are listening. Is there a motion that we sign the contract for $8,000 a year, paid quarterly to Lincoln County Paws Incorporated?
I make that motion, Mr. Chairman.
That's second.
I will second, Mr. Chairman.
Motion by Commissioner Clyde, second by Commissioner Collins. Any discussion? Commissioner Wade.
I'd just like to say for that kind of money, it's a great service, and we definitely appreciate y'all doing what you're doing.
Thank you.
And for that kind of money and for the county.
Wow.
Expenditure.
Yes, sir. Well, we've been doing it for a while, so we're glad to be entering in this contract.
And I've had, in my district, I've had complaints. One little lady, 80 years old, riding her bicycle, was bit by a dog. So we really appreciate you.
Thank you.
Commissioner Clyde.
I was just going to say, Ms. Reese, I probably ought to say something about the veterinarians in the city too. They do help us some and discount the cost, so.
Absolutely. We don't have a personal preference as to one or the other, but because Dr. Causey is an after-hours vet, up to this point, we have used Dr. Causey, and he does give us a substantial discount. We get a 30% discount. Our average on an animal to vet it from first shots through the neuter is $250 per animal. And he gives us a 30% discount through that. So it helps us enormously. This $2,000 will allow us to do so much other things that we haven't been able to do. We'll be able to do community outreach where, say there's an elderly person who has a dog or a cat that has constant litters of puppies, we'll be able, or kittens, we'll be able to do as community outreach with this particular money. We'll be able to take it and fix that animal for them and get their rabies shot. There's a lot of things that this money is going to help with. So we're very appreciative.
Any other questions? All in favor of the motion, let it be known by saying aye. Aye. All opposed, like sign. Motion is carried. Thank y'all for coming. Be glad for you to stay here, but if you leave, I know it's Valentine's. Commissioner Wade told me to hurry up because his wife was taking him out to eat for Valentine's.
Well, this is my 55th anniversary today.
Which one?
55th. Wedding
Bless your heart. We'll continue to pray for you. Item 9 is a community service block grant subcontract to Director Blunt.
Good afternoon, Chairman and Commissioners. You have in your packet a contract we received from the CSRA Economic Opportunity Authority. And this is to offset some of the activities and expenses for the seniors. And I would like for you to approve that and give Chairman Norman the permission to sign it.
Okay, this is another one we looked at, and this is really a continuation. I think we
Yes,
got it
sir.
last year. We got another one this year, the amount of $6,274 that will go toward admin cost of operating the Senior Citizen Transit Center from the CSRA Economic Opportunity Authority. To give me as the chairman and the clerk as the clerk to sign with them to accept this $6,274. Their motion.
I make a motion, Mr. Chairman.
Second.
I'll second, Mr. Chairman.
Motion by Commissioner Wade, second by Commissioner Collins. Any discussion on the motion? Chair is none. All in favor of the motion, let it be known by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed, like sign. Motion's carried. Thank you,
you.
Director Blunt. I would say before you sit down, though, that we have received 2 new vans from the Department of Transportation. I think it's correct me if I'm wrong, I think it's 80% funded by federal government, 10% by state, 10% by local government.
That's correct.
The two new vans, I think we got about $9,200 in the $80,000 to $90,000 worth of vans. We presented the keys to Nancy today, and she presented them to the drivers. And we told them that if they wrecked them, they were responsible for it, and they got to pay for them. So, and I think it's on our did you get it on our website today? Okay. So, thank you for getting those for us. I think it's the first time we've had new vans in how long? 10 years?
It's about 12, I think.
About 12 years since the county's had new ones, and Director Seymour made available for the road department to go to Kennesaw, I believe, to pick those vans up a week or so ago. With that, you'll see them on the road now, or when?
Yes, sir, Monday.
Monday,
They're
they'll be on the road, so please don't run into them.
Congratulations, Nancy.
Pardon?
Congratulations.
Thank you.
Chairman had a lot to do with that, too.
Yes, sir, he did.
Thank you. Thank you, Commissioner Wade. Item number 10, the renaming of Elijah Clark State Park Road. Commissioner Collins.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. A couple of months ago, I presented in a work session an idea of naming the road that leads into Elijah Clark State Park for Senator John P. Drinkard Sr. Now, I thought about this for a while, and ever since I've lived in Lincoln County, I've always heard that Senator Drinkard was the man who was responsible for Elijah Clark State Park. Elijah Clark State Park consists of 447 acres and has over 200,000 visitors a year. At the time I presented this idea, it was decided that we would hold off and seek public input. And since that time, I have talked to not only the family of Senator Drinkard, I've talked to the family of Francis Fortson. I want to tell you a little bit about both men. Senator Drinkard was the owner and editor of the Lincoln Journal from 1924 until 1960. And also during that time, he was a very prominent political figure from Lincoln County. He served 18 years as either a representative or a state senator. In 1951, he sat on the General Appropriations Committee at the State Senate, and he and Representative Hughes Willingham, who was also from Lincoln County, they co-sponsored a bill that appropriated $50,000 to establish the state park. In 1953, Mr. Drinkard introduced a bill that officially named the park Elijah Clark State Park. In talking to members of his family, I was told that it was said that he would sometimes go to the park 3 or 4 times a day just to check on the progress. And it also, I mentioned James, I don't know if I mentioned him, but James Francis Fortson, another Lincoln County person, was the first park superintendent. He was the park superintendent probably from 1951 until his death in 1972. In talking to members of his family, I am told that he never took a day of vacation. He worked 365 days a year. That Elijah Clark State Park was his little baby, and he took care of it. I was also told that he might be the one who is responsible for allowing camping in state parks in Georgia. Since he's no longer with us, I don't think I'll get him in trouble by saying this. But at the time when he became superintendent, you did not camp in a state park in Georgia. But he had some people come through that asked him about camping, and he said, sure, I'll let you camp down here. Well, lo and behold, as those people were camping there, his boss came by, and he was in trouble because he was breaking the rules. But the outcome of all this was the state of Georgia decided we will allow, going forward, camping in state parks. And I would also mention that the land that Elijah Clark State Park is on was originally land of the Fortson family that was taken back when they started building the dam and the lake backed up. The Corps of Engineers, I'm gonna say, took a lot of property, because everybody I've talked to that had property that's now underwater will tell you the Corps took it. 2,000 acres was taken from the Fortson family. Now, my original idea was to name the entrance road for Senator John P. Drinker. Since then, and in talking to both families, and both families agree that we should not do this. But what I'm going to do tonight is put in the form of a motion that this Board of Commissioners authorizes the chairman to write a letter to the superintendent of Elijah Clark State Park requesting space in the visitor center for us to put up a picture and a short bio of John P. Drinker and James Francis Fortson, so that going forward, people who visit that park and are in the visitor center can have a better understanding of how it came to be. Mr. Chairman, I do put that in the form of a motion.
Thank you, Commissioner Collins. That was eloquently done. We have a motion by Commissioner Collins that we send a letter to the Superintendent of Elijah Clark State Park asking him to discuss this with his superiors at the Department of Natural Resources to honor these two gentlemen by posting pictures and bios inside of the visitor center. Is there a second?
I'll second, Mr. Chairman.
Have a motion by Commissioner Collins, second by Commissioner Wade. Any discussion on the motion? Chair hears none. All in favor of the motion, let it be known by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed, like sign, and the motion is carried. And we will get that letter out, Clerk McKellar. Item number 11 is the speed limits on Aycock Norman Road. Commissioner Henderson.
Well, I had a request from someone in my district to change the speed limit to 45 for the entire road for Aycock Norman Road. I think she also talked to Director Seymour, and I'll ask him to explain a little bit more about it.
I was approached by someone in your district, and actually me and the chairman both rode that road together to look at it, and there was some controversy on some signage that was out there. We've corrected that. I saw her the next week, and she asked me to pursue the 45 mile an hour, and I think we brought it to the work session last week, and I think everybody was in agreement to repost that road to 45 mile an hour from 55.
Is that the form of motion, Commissioner Henderson?
Yes, sir. I make a motion that we change the speed limit on Aycock Norman Road to 45 miles per hour.
Have a motion, is there a second?
I'll second, Mr. Chairman.
Motion by Commissioner Henderson, second by Commissioner Clyde. Any discussion on the motion? Chair hears none. All in favor of the motion, let it be known by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed, like sign. Motion's carried. Condemned fund, Budget Director Arnett.
Chairman and Commissioners, to keep the county in compliance with the state law, the auditors need to show the condemned fund, which is in the Sheriff's Department, as a special revenue fund. And in order to do so, the board needs to pass a budget for the fund for FY 2018. And this is just a procedural issue, so I'm requesting the board to pass a budget of $4,125 for the FY 2018 condemned fund.
What was that amount again?
$4,125.
Okay. Okay, y'all familiar with this? Their motion that we, on the recommendation of Finance Director, that we take the condemned funds and make a budget item with the Sheriff's Department. 41, right now the balance is $4,125.
So moved, Mr. Chairman.
Have a second.
I'll second, Mr.
Motion by Commissioner Henderson, second by Commissioner Collins. Any discussion on the motion? Commissioner Wade.
Since I missed the work session, What is this condemned fund used for?
Okay.
Sounds like my bank account.
You want to explain that? Okay. You want to explain, you want me to tell you? Thank you. Condemned fund is, the reason it's no more than it is if a sheriff's deputy stops a car and you got drugs or whatever in it and I can't think of the word I'm trying to use, confiscate the pistol, if you got a pistol or the car, anything, it goes in, it has to go through a certain process with the district attorney's office, and then that becomes sheriff's department property, as well, county and sheriff's department's property. That fund by state law is completely controlled by the sheriff. He can spend it for whatever he needs. His guidelines for what he can spend it on, though, it's got to be for certain things, but he can spend it. This has not been in the county's budget. It's just been hanging out there, and the sheriff could do what he wants to. Our new auditor said it needed to be a line item in the budget. So, of course, we met with the sheriff and his administrative specialist, and he understands what's going on. But now it'd just simply be a line item in the budget, not just in a bank account. Does he still keep his own account and write the check out of it himself, or does it have to come through us?
They do.
Huh?
They have control of it.
Okay.
They write their checks.
All we do is when they make a deposit into it, they notify the finance director. When they write a check, they notify her that something's been written out, and she keeps a running tally of what it is. They issue the checks.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Okay. All in favor of the motion, let me know by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed, like sign, motion's carried. Thank you. Item 13,
Yes, sir.
RFP 19001. I reckon that 001 means that's the first one we've done in 19.
That's correct.
Boy, that was hard for me to figure out, but I got it. Agriculture Bill, Director Seymour.
Yes, sir. As you're aware, and we've talked about in our work session, the county got special appropriations through DCA to erect a new ag building for our county agent. The process requires us to put out an RFP, which I have drafted. I think you've got a copy of it in your book. And what I'm asking for tonight is for you to approve me to put that out for bid. We will take bids. It will come back before you. I think the bid opening is February the 28th, which is a Thursday, and y'all will have it before you in March to approve the low bidder. And so I'm asking for approval to put this RFP out for the new ag building.
When does this come back in?
You will have it.
When do we open the bids?
We will open the bids on February the 28th.
Oh, okay, February 20th. Okay, I got you.
February the 28th, and then it'll be before you in a regular meeting.
And after
next
your
month.
pre-construction yesterday, I see you've added an addendum to that.
I have added an addendum, which is already, I think, posted online, but I did have a pre-bid mandatory meeting yesterday and had a lot of interest. We had about 8 companies there. And so we feel pretty good about it. We hope we're going to get a pretty good price on it.
Let me make one little quick statement, and it did go through DCA, but what happened is our county extension director, Brian Tankersley, kind of took the lead role on this, and of course talked to me, and I related to the board, and he and several of us talked to Representative McCall, Senator Anderson. They carried it through the legislature. Senator Jack Hill, the appropriations chairman, got it through the Senate, and sometimes after the session last year, we were notified that we got this $200,000. What it's going to do is build we call it an agricultural center. Hopefully we build it in probably 3 phases.
Yes, sir.
The first phase will be the concrete slab in the building. It's 6,400 square feet. It will house the Cooperative Extension Service, county agent, 4-H, and then it will have a meeting room, I think, that they can use with 4-H projects, but can also be used for like Cattlemen's Association, other farm-related, agriculture-related meetings that they have across the county. That building will be built by the concrete floor and the building.
Correct.
On the first phase, we're asking USDA and Governor Kemp for some more money for phase 2, which would do the inside of the building and that type of thing, and get them in it. So they'll, you know, that could be another year before you actually get into the building. The third phase of it is, and if you've seen the drawings, it would have a big covered arena in the back of it with one side, and it would be used for cattle shows, sheep shows, this type of thing like they do at the Woodruff Building in Washington. If you really want to look at what it might look like, go to Oglethorpe County. They have done one in the last few years, and it's really nice. This will be, the county has agreed to furnish the property, and it will be out on the property near the recreation complex that the county already owns. You noticed last year they cut the trees down. That's one of the areas we're talking about. If you went out to see the wall, it would be behind where the wall was. That area would be the parking lot. It will set up in there with sidewalks leading to it, and that's where it will be. So hopefully we can get started on that before summer and get that first phase of the building built, and then try to go after some more money. What we're going to need is, well, we don't need a vote, do we?
No, sir.
That's right.
I'm just
Okay.
bringing it to you. I do want to say, though, I want to recognize and commend Ms. Jenna Clyde, who's with us here tonight. She is diligently working on a grant with USDA for us to hopefully complete the second phase of this building. She is an intern working in our office this semester, and she's, I won't ask her to speak because she's a little bit shy, so she's not quite like her granddaddy. But anyway, we are happy that she's with us. We've been very blessed, and she's doing a great job. So I did want to recognize her for that.
She is an intern. She's a student at Georgia Tech. She's going to be with us till about the end of March. Is that right?
April.
Oh, that's good.
Yeah.
What about June, July? So
She's learning a lot.
really, she turned out to be God sent. We really didn't know what we
Yes.
were going to do. We were going to put over in planning and zoning, then move over to finance and let her see what was going on in as many departments as she could while she was here. But she got over there, and I think she's found a home. And when this came up, she's writing that grant for us. So
Yes, sir.
Robbie said we couldn't move you nowhere else. You're going to have to stay over there. Hope to have this grant in prior to the end of March. We got to have it in.
March 29th, I think, is the deadline.
And she's trying to get us $98,000. That's what it is. So we do thank you for coming and being a part of this.
Hope Robbie's-
Okay,
Hope Robbie's paying her well.
Yes, sir.
I did tell you she wants some of that Alabama money. Okay, moving right along. Item 14, legal services for the water project. Director Seymour.
Yes, sir. As y'all are aware, we were awarded a USDA grant loan package back last year, early last year. We are continually working on that. The next phase of that requires us to have a legal service agreement. This legal service agreement actually will allow the attorneys to do title work, right-of-way work if needed, and kind of carry the project on the legal side. You have a copy of that legal service agreement with you. What I'm asking tonight is for you to approve the legal services agreement, which would be with Mr. Ben Jackson, who is general counsel for the county as we speak, and then also in that motion allow for him to find bond counsel, which is a requirement. Once we get everything together and we do the bond closing and all that, it requires bond counsel to do that, which they're specialized. Most of them, I think, around Macon and Atlanta. Mr. Jackson, am I correct in saying that?
Yes, sir.
So what I'm asking is for y'all to approve the legal service agreement with Mr. Jackson and allow him to seek and find bond counsel that will help us through the USDA project. Now, there are guidelines through USDA on how the money is appropriated and spent and percentages. So we're kind of bound by those guidelines. So,
Members of the board, this was not at our work session. It came in, I think, this past Monday.
yes, sir.
Ms. Ross with USDA contacted Director Seymour, and we couldn't hold this up 30 more days. We need to get it going, and this is, I know you've got it by email and you've looked at it and it was placed in your book, but it did not come before you last week. You did a good job explaining. I don't need to reiterate it. It's about $1,900,000 and something loan grant from the United States Department of Rural Development for some expansion of our water system. And I'm talking to you mostly, Commissioner Henderson. It goes into the Montego Point area. It puts in some new water meters. I think you can just ride by and it'll read it or whatever. And we will be adding 6 new wells. What do we have now, 3 or 4?
We have 4.
We have 4 wells now. This will be adding 6 more wells. We get approximately 30% of our water from our 4 wells. Hopefully, if we get 6 more wells on, we'll be able to, get, maybe 70% or so of our water from our own source, not the joint use facility. Now we use about 55.4% of all our water comes from the joint use facility. So, with that said, we're asking for a motion for the county attorney, who will be our legal counsel, and for him to get someone, and I think you mentioned the name of who he would get to, and the county's used this bond counsel before.
That is
too, I
correct.
think. Mr. Jackson's familiar with him. He'll be contacting him. It is a percentage of pay based on the 1.99 million or whatever. So,
Correct.
is there a motion that we have County Attorney Mr. Jackson to be our legal counsel, and that he appoint someone to be our bond counsel?
I so move, Mr. Chairman.
Is there a second?
I'll second, Mr. Chairman.
We have a motion by Commissioner Clyde, second by Commissioner Collins. Any discussion on the motion? Chair hears none. All in favor of the motion, let me know by saying aye. Aye. All opposed, like sign. Motion's carried. Item 15, hotel motel tax disbursement. Attorney Jackson.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Mr. Chairman, what I have done is prepared a proposed contract for y'all to review and determine if it's acceptable. The purpose of this contract is to bind the county with the Lincoln County Chamber of Commerce. There's a code section 48-13-51 in state law that requires the county to distribute a percentage of the hotel motel tax that's acquired in the county. In fact, in the code section, it's referred to an excise tax, which is the same thing. It is a percentage, and it appears that this year the percentage would be 20.6% of the hotel motel tax that would be distributed from the county to the Chamber of Commerce. The law requires that the receiving person or entity will be a private sector nonprofit organization, and their purpose is to advance tourism, conventions, and trade shows in the county. So it wouldn't be awarded just to anyone. It would have to meet that criteria. It is for a period of 1 year, and there are guidelines in 48-13-51 that refer to contracts in the following years, but this will be an agreement for just a 1-year period at this time, Mr. Chairman.
And it will renew the following year based on both parties redoing it.
Yes, sir.
This is pretty much what the state law says that we do, and I know we discussed this the other day. Of the total hotel motel tax that the county gets, it comes from Soap Creek's cabins and the cabins at Logic Lock Park. 2 motels in town, we get none of that. That goes to the city. The law states that Elijah Clark State Park, Department of Natural Resources, gets 48.5%. The county will get 30.9%. The chamber will get 20.6%. And it does state in this contract what it has to be used for, which is what the state says. It has to be done to promote tourism and that type of thing. Okay, we are going to ask for a motion that we sign the contract with the Lincoln County Chamber of Commerce, and that I will have the authority, the clerk, to sign it, as well as the president of Lincoln County Chamber of Commerce and its secretary. Ask for a motion.
I'll make a motion, Mr. Chairman.
Have a motion. Is there a second?
I'll second, Mr. Chairman.
Motion by Commissioner Wade, second by Commissioner Collins. Any discussion on the motion? Chair hears none. All in favor of the motion, let it be known by saying aye. Aye. All opposed, like sign, motion is carried. Item number 16, CSRA Alliance. As you know, we started this, I think, 2 years ago. This will be our third year that we have partnered with the Lincoln County Development Authority and the Alliance at Fort Gordon to put Lincoln County a seat at the table, so to speak, with the Alliance. And as you know, Mr. Curly Avant is our representative to that board. The dues is $5,000 a year. We split it with the Development Authority. We pay $2,500. Development Authority pays $2,500. And I think this is money well worth being spent for. And we have seen some direct impact of the Cyber Center in Lincoln County as it goes to new houses being built. So anyway, I think y'all know about this. Is our motion that giving us the authority to pay the Alliance this $2,500.
I made that motion, Mr. Chairman.
Second.
Second.
Motion by Commissioner Clyde, second by Commissioner Henderson. Any discussion on the motion? Chair hears none. All in favor of the motion, let it be known by saying aye. Aye. All opposed, like sign. Motion's carried. Item 17 is surplus property. We have worked with our neighbors, Columbia County, with Commissioner Doug Duncan and the Administrator Scott Johnson. They have approved it at their meeting on Tuesday. They have surplus 3 vehicles that Lincoln County will be purchasing: a 2003 Ford F-250 service body truck, a 2006 Ford Escape, and a 2007 Ford Crown Victoria. The service body truck will be used at the water department. The Ford Escape will go to the tax assessors. And let me just insert this in. You know, we've been, the last few years, the county has contracted with a company. Forget the name, but now we're back in it. We got to have a vehicle for them to go out and measure your house and that kind of thing. We didn't want to buy a new one, so we got this vehicle for. The service truck is $3,000, the Ford Escape's $2,500, and the Crown Vic will be $2,800 for a total of, what is that? I had it somewhere. $83 what?
$8,300.
$8,300. Oh, wow, I lost it in all this paperwork. But anyway, we will be accepting this from the Columbia County Board of Commissioners, and it will have to be signed by me as chairman and the clerk as the clerk, and of course, Chairman Duncan and the clerk in Columbia County. Is our motion that we accept this from Columbia County and give us authority to sign it?
I so move, Mr. Chairman.
Have a motion, is our second.
I'll second, Mr. Chairman.
Motion by Commissioner Clyde, second by Commissioner Collins. Any discussion? Chair hears none. All in favor of the motion, let it be known by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed, like sign. Motion's carried. Is there a motion to adjourn?
So moved, Mr. Chairman.
Boy, he made that one quick. He's learning it.
You hadn't got a second yet, Mr. Chairman.
I second, Mr. Chairman.
All right, we have a motion, is there a second?
I second, Mr. Chairman.
Motion by Commissioner Henderson, second by Commissioner Wade. All in favor of the motion, let it be known by saying aye. Aye. All opposed, like sign. Motion's carried. We stand adjourned. Happy Valentine's to all of you.